Refrigerator art to embroidered picture with an inset of the artist prominently featured. Your friends are going to ask you how you did it. Well, stay tuned, and I'm going to tell you so you can tell them. I'm Cathy, and this is Sewing Tech Talk. We have a giveaway for today's video. It's a great box of embroidery thread. Look, all the colors in the traditional crayon box. So every time you like, share, or comment, you're entered for a chance to win a box of embroidery thread. So good luck. Let's talk refrigerator art. You know what I'm talking about. I'd like to show you a lovely selection of our family's refrigerator art. This is Cooper's watercolor drawing. Look at the great abstract nature of this drawing. This is another media that he uses, tempera paint and a sponge. This is his interpretation of fireworks. This one is called We Left the Markers Out and He Grabbed Them. This was a collaboration with Papa, where he did a seasonal artwork. This is perhaps my favorite. This is called I See a Purple Cat. I think this would be lovely rendered in embroidery. We might take a shot at that. Now, being a true artist, he works in a number of media. This is that same subject matter, I See a Purple Cat, done in alcohol markers. Lovely, don't you think? Now, your artist may be a little bit more detailed than using crayon and markers. So if you're doing something like this, a painting like this, or if your artist takes a photograph and does a drawing on it, or your little artist is a photographer and you want to make a more detailed embroidery, then this is not the technique we're going to talk about today. This is called photo stitch. There's another video on that subject, so if you want a much more detailed embroidery design from an image, go check out that video after you watch this one. Today, we're going to be using IQ Designer, and we're going to be making a photo frame for a picture. Here's my little artist now, and then here's his drawing entitled I Love You Grandpa, done in crayon. So what we're going to do is we're going to render this in an embroidery, pretty cool, huh? And make a photo frame to put the picture inside the drawing, and we're going to put it in a frame. Kind of guaranteed to pull anybody's heartstrings. So that's the process we're going to use. We're going to use IQ Designer in the Altair sewing machine. Now, other machines have IQ Designer. In Brother Machines, it's called My Design Center. These instructions work pretty well for all of those different versions of IQ Designer. I have a handout for you. It's a 6-page handout, and it goes into detail of everything that we're going to be doing today. So if you miss a step, don't worry, it's all in there. There's a couple ways of getting the image into the machine. What we're going to do is we're going to take the image in, and we're going to literally trace it. Now, IQ Designer does have a feature where you can bring in a piece of artwork and it will automatically create a design. But it does it pretty good. In fact, it does it almost too good. It takes all of the little lines and all of the color in the background, and it tries to make it into an embroidery. That's kind of not what we want. So let's go to the machine, and what I want to show you is how we're going to bring in this image, and we're going to take it and we're going to trace it using the features in the machine. No, don't say I'm not an artist, because if you can do as good as a 6-year-old, you probably did that good when you were 6 years old. I bet you now you can do just as good. So let's go to the machine, and I'd love to show you how easy it is to take this and make something pretty cool out of it. That's a great, well, let's just say it's a great tribute to any artist. I'll see you over at the machine. So there's a couple ways that you can get that image into IQ Designer, because what we're going to do is we're going to be bringing that image in so that we can trace over the top of it. Like I said, IQ Designer is really good at finding the details in drawings. So we're not going to be using either the line design or the illustration design. We're simply going to be bringing an image in. Now there's a couple ways that you can do it. You can use the IQ Positioning app, and in that app, hold on, I got to balance everything here. In the app, you could either use the photo frame for creating the design, and that means I will be having the actual artwork in the frame, the hoop, taking a picture of it with the app and sending it wirelessly to the machine. Or if you have a picture of the image already, say it's been emailed to you or texted to you or something, and it's in the device that has the app, I can just select the image for creating the design, and I'm good to go, send that off wirelessly to the machine. Don't want to use the app? No problem. If you have that image, what you can do is you can put it on a USB stick and simply stick it in the machine. I'm going to do it a couple ways today so that you can see both. So let me put the purple cat over here and set this aside, and let's get started making this cool photo frame. Now the first thing we need is we need a picture that we're going to put inside the frame. And I have a whole cool bunch of pictures, I bet you do too, of your grandchild. This is Andrew when he's 6. Look at that smile. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. That's all the indulgence there'll be for the rest of the video. But then here's his drawing. Lots of detail in this. And quite frankly, if we rendered this in embroidery, we wouldn't be too happy with it. It would try to get the newsprint background. We wouldn't like it. So, well, the first thing I need to do is I need to decide which picture I'm going to use. And I think I've decided on this one because it's small enough to fit in the frame and let me have the embroidery around it. What you need to do is you need to measure the size of the opening that you need. We're going to create that opening first in IQ Designer, save it, and then bring it in after we trace the design. We're going to use the Shapes key for that. So here's the Shapes key in IQ Designer, and I have lots of shapes to choose from. Now, the more complicated the shape, yes, you can use them, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging to get that set up for displaying your photo. So I'm just going to use a basic circle for now, because that's really easy to do. When I say OK, it's going to come in on the screen, the workspace of IQ Designer. Now, I need to change this. I need my opening to be 3.5 wide and 4.5 tall. So I'm just going to touch the size key, and I'm going to use these keys to change that circle so that it fits exactly what I need for my photo. Now, once you're happy with the dimensions, I've already done it, so I'm not going to be too fussy right now. I'm going to say OK. Now, I'm going to put the properties that I want this to stitch into the design, into the shape, and I'm going to save it in the memory of the machine so I can bring it back later. So I'm going to come into the Line Properties menu, and I'm going to tell the machine I want a double run stitch. Now here's something that's kind of important. They'll be important a little bit later on. I want to pick a color for this stitching that I'm not going to use in any of the other parts of the design, because I want this stitchery to be a completely separate color so I can come back to it and it is only that color. And so I'm just going to pick this purple color right there because I know I'm not going to use that in the rest of my embroidery. And I'm going to say OK. Now I touch the bucket, I touch the outline of the image, and it set those stitch properties into that shape. I'm going to put that into the memory of the machine. And we're going to bring it back a little bit later. I'm going to clear everything out, and this is where the fun begins. Let's bring in that image. Now, I have it on my USB stick, so I'm going to touch Image, and I know I have it on my USB stick, and I have it under Refrigerator Art Frame, Andrew's Grandpa JPEG Image, and there it is. So it shows me a picture. Now, if this was just a number, sometimes the pictures come in as numbers, I can go through any of the ones on there and pick the one that I want. Now, had this came in from IQ Designer, I would have touched the wireless icon at the bottom instead of the one for the USB stick. So here it is. Let's set it and send it off to the workspace of IQ Designer. Now the fun begins. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to trace all the different parts of the design that we want to have stitched in our stitchery. So you have a couple ways to do that. You have what's called lines. This is the line art. It's the finer lines, and we're certainly going to do some of that. But this set of icons down here is for the region, meaning the bigger areas. Those are the ones that tend to stitch out first in IQ Designer. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to create some of the lines that are in Andrew's drawing of Grandpa. So I'm going to come down here, and that gives me all the different choices. I can choose the size of and the shape of my paintbrush. I can choose whether I'm doing a fill stitch, a stipple, or a decorative fill. And I can even have it be a no-sew region. I'm not going to play with that now, but I'm going to do the sky. So let's pick a light blue color. I want it to be a filled area, and I want it to be a fairly decent sized paintbrush, and I'm going to say okay. If you can see that the paintbrush is highlighted, now all I have to do is take my stylus, embrace my inner 6-year-old, and draw some sky. What we want is the essence of the drawing. We want it to kind of look sort of like they did it, but we're not going to use all the little teeny tiny lines that they did. We don't have to get the point across. So let's do our sun. We want the same fill, but we want a slightly different color. So let's come back here. Let's pick, hello, even a cat can do it. Get down. The director really wanted to make sure I was doing what I was supposed to. So let's pick that sun color. Okay, let's come up here on the sun. Now I can see the sun pretty good, but maybe you want to make it a little bit larger, so I can blow it up just a little bit. And I'm going to move this square up there so I can see the sun. There it is. And now I'm going to draw the sun. If I wanted a smaller paintbrush, in other words, a smaller line, I could go back in the menu and change it to that. Smaller. Okay. And now I'm making some smaller lines. How am I doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and fill in all the regions with this type of stitching. Now I could use that other type of stitching. I could use a stipple or a decorative fill, but I have to remember that if I have a small area, it's not going to render very well in a stipple or a decorative fill. So I'm just going to stick with this fill area, but let's go and let's put in some lines now. Let's take it back to regular size, and we definitely have to do the I love you grandpa. So let's come up to here, and I'm going to do it in like maybe a red color. So there's my red, and I want it to be a triple stitch, which goes over the stitching 3 times. It's going to be a nice solid little line. I don't want the zigzag because I think it might be too thick. You can play with all these different lines, the way they stitch, and get all kinds of fun effects on your stitchery. So red, triple stitch, okay. Oh, I forgot to show you, there's different ways to draw. I can draw just a circle, just a random line. I can have that line totally complete itself. This is automatically a straight line, and this is a line with angles. So play with the different lines. If you don't like the way you do it, you can do undo and take it out. I just want a regular little curved line. Let's see how good I can do. Okay, I love you grandpa's kind of small. You know the drill. I can make it a little bit bigger. Maybe even a little bit bigger. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to take the box, go over the area I want to fill in, and I'm just going to write over or trace over what Andrew did. I don't have to go in any order. The machine's going to figure out the order all by itself. So if I don't like what I did, I have undo, and I could get another shot at it. So if I hit undo, that took out my in. Every time I touch the stylus or touch the screen and then take it off, that creates a separate little unit that the undos can take away. If I want to take off the A, I just hit the undo again. And so on and so forth. If you hit all clear, you're starting from the very beginning, and you don't want to do that. Remember, you're just recreating a child's drawing. You're not recreating the Mona Lisa. Don't get too involved with it. It's going to be kind of fun. So quite frankly, I did all this, and I kind of saved my design before. But I want to show you how we bring in that picture. So let's go back. Now I'm going to put the picture of Andrew down in this corner right here. And I've already set that circle in the memory of the IQ Designer so I can bring it back in. So I'm going to touch Retrieve from the machine. There's my real size circle that I did earlier. Set. And that brings that circle in. Just the right size I need for my picture. Now here's the one other little trick. Do you see how there's a red box around that circle? If I was to touch the workspace, that would kind of take that selection away. So I don't want to do that. All I want to do is hit size. I'm not going to resize it, but I am going to use the keys on the bottom to move it exactly where I want to move it. I think down there to the left of Grandpa. And remember, you're making this a unique color that you didn't do in any of the other parts of the drawing, because we wanted to stitch absolutely separately. So I went ahead and I did my whole little drawing, and I have it all stitched out, and I'm just about ready to put in that picture frame window. So let me get transferred over. We'll get over here and we'll come on back, and I'll show you how to stitch that little window in. And it's pretty simple. You can put multiple windows in for all the pictures that you have. So let me get transferred over. Let me catch you up on the machine over here, and I'll be right back. So I stitched out I Love You Grandpa, and I think it turned out pretty cool. Remember, we're just going for the essence of the drawing. We're not going for all the little crayon marks, because it wouldn't look this crisp if you'd done it that way. So what I did is I stitched all the way through, and remember that unique color I used for the frame? I stitched it in a color that kind of matches my background fabric. So stitch the whole thing all the way through. Now what we're going to do is use the plus and minus keys to go back into this embroidery and pick up this circle again. We're going to stitch it again, but this time we're going to lay a piece of matching background fabric over the top of it. We're going to stitch around it, then we're going to cut out the hole, take this fabric to the back, and that's going to create an opening for our photo. So I moved the machine so that we're there to do that. Remember, you're going to stitch the whole thing, not take the embroidery out of the frame for sure, and go back and just stitch this oval again, but we're going to put this fabric over the top of it. Now, if you want to do multiple pictures, that's great. You just need a separate piece of fabric for all of the different openings that you're going to do. So let's get this stitched. Make sure it's over the top, and you want a generous piece. You don't want to be fussing with it. So I'm right there, and I'm just going to hit start, and we're going to stitch this down. Remember, we chose the double run stitch, so it's going to stitch it around it twice. So on this design that I did, I played with a bunch of the different lines that you can use. You have candle wicking, which are little stars. You have a chain stitch, which are little loops. In the areas, you can do a stipple. It depends. Just play with it and see what's going to come out. What you want to do is before you send your artwork all the way into the land of embroidery, like I did, then what you want to do is you want to save it. If you stitch it out and it doesn't quite come out the way you want it, and you want to change some of the different stitch types, you easily can bring up that artwork again in IQ Designer and make a couple changes. So I'm going to stitch out this opening, but I want to show you just briefly how you would bring in, using IQ Designer, let's do the purple cat, shall we? So here's the purple cat. Here's my purple cat. Unlike the cat that jumped on me earlier, that was an orange cat. So here's my purple cat. What I do is I take the cat and I lay it down on a flat surface. And I'm going to lay the frame over the top of it and simply take the picture of it using the app and send it wirelessly off to the machine. What's the advantage of this? Well, maybe you have sidewalk chalk art. Could you send that to machine? Sure, you're sending it wirelessly. Take your frame out to the sidewalk, lay it down on the art. Whatever you see inside the frame is what's going to be sent to the machine. So you have lots of different options. No matter what the media is, you can send that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my purple cat to the machine, and I just want to show you a couple different options of making the art in IQ Designer. So let me show you how I do this, sending it to the machine, and how I cut out this little opening, and I'll be right back once again, and we should be pretty close to a frame. So I cut out the hole where the picture's going to go. There's where Andrew's going to go in his newly recreated embroidery artwork. And so what you do is you do the stitchery around there, and then you're going to cut out the inside. And on the back, cut it pretty close to the stabilizer without cutting any of that stitching line. And then you're going to want to make little clips all around the edge so it turns to the back nicely. So we're going to bring it off to the back, and let me see if I can do that. I'm going to put it right here. Sorry you might not see it, but I'm going to pull it to the back, put a couple pins there so that you can see basically what it's going to look like. I'm going to take it to the iron, and I'm really going to nicely press this to the back, and it'll give it a nice little finished edge to display my photo. So let me see if I can give you a visual here. The hurrier you go, the behinder you get. Well, it's not perfect, but it might give you an image. Okay, so there it is. I pushed it all to the back. That's where the little picture of Andrew's going to go, all proud of himself with his drawing. Is that not the cutest thing ever, right? If you want to do multiple pictures, you just simply do multiple little openings. You can make this a family affair if you want to. Now, if the picture is like a precious object, you may want to make a duplicate of it before you put it in here. If your frame doesn't have glass, you might want to put a piece of plastic over the top of the photo just to protect it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this off, take it to the iron, get it all finished, and but I want to show you real briefly. I sent that image of the purple cat in. I want to show you a couple other things in IQ Designer just so that you have all the resources you need when you're coming in to play with this. Remember, you're going to play. Play's the key word. You can't mess it up, but there's a couple features I'd like you to see. So here we are, and I had taken my brown bear, no, I see a purple cat. Sorry, I messed it up. And it's just a big purple blob, right? not the best artwork, but if I come in, I'm going to bring in my image. I sent it over with IQ positioning app. So it came in wirelessly and a whole bunch of numbers, not a problem. I touch the one and it's going to give me a visual representation of how that came in. So there is the purple cat right there. And I touch set, and it's going to bring it on into the IQ Designer workspace. Now it's kind of grayed out. I can do a couple things with that. I can make it a little bit sharper so I can really see it, and I can totally fade it out so that it's not even there. So when I do my drawing, then I don't want to see the artwork behind it. Because remember, only what you draw is what's going to be rendered in embroidery. It's not doing any of the drawing. Now it can, but we're not using that feature right now. So let's bring it up just a little bit. Now let's make this, and maybe a fill stitch would just be a big purple blob. Let's try some shading with some stippling. So let's come on here to my region properties. I definitely want purple, and I definitely want a stipple. Cool. And I want the biggest paintbrush I can get. There it is now. So when I hit OK, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finger paint. Which is probably what this was, a purple cat. So all I do is I have my brush, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to finger paint my purple cat. Now that's pretty cool, right? What if I want some shading in my purple cat? Maybe if I want a slightly different purple color in there, I can do that. So I come in here, let's pick a slightly different purple. There we go. We still have that stipple. We still have a big paintbrush. Now I can come in and I can paint that other color all around and through here. And I can have a whole lot of fun just messing around with it. Now, if you can see, the name of the picture's right down here. I can add that. Once I create my embroidery and send it off to the land of embroidery, I can use my lettering to add, I see a purple cat, the date, the name, anything that you want. You don't have to add a photo frame to this. What about taking a whole bunch of different refrigerator arts and making a cool quilt out of it? It would be so neat, or a pillow. Once you create the embroidery, it's an embroidery. Use it any way that you want. Heck, maybe Grandma wants it on her t-shirt. I don't know. Let's see what this stippling looks like. So when I go next, there it is. That's kind of where I put the different stuffs. It's not the best artwork, but I can change the size of it. I can make that a really small little stipple. I can change this and make the spacing small. I can do all kinds of different modifications for that. Now, the reason I wanted to show you that was, when I go to preview, I'm going to see what I did, and I can come back and change it. Watch. When I go to preview, okay, it's going to show me what I did. Not the best. So I might want to change that and do something different. Maybe I want to add some of those fill stitches in there that are not stipple. I can go return, and I can come back and I can go back and forth through those three screens all the whole day long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up my little frame. Actually, I'm going to send it off to George because I think I'm going to go time travel back to the beginning and show you the finished product. So I hope you like playing with IQ Designer. Remember, you can't mess up drawing when you're drawing like a 6-year-old, and I think we can all do that. So I'm going to send it off to George. IQ Designer in Altair is pretty fantastic, and if you want to see the finished product, go back to the beginning.
Thanks, Cathy. That was an incredible presentation. Don't forget, you can click on the link and download Cathy's lesson guide on today's presentation. But I want to take a couple moments to share with you my favorite features on the Baby Lock Altair. I believe the Altair is dollar for dollar the most advanced machine on the market. There are machines that sell for thousands of dollars more that do not offer the same features. You know, the embroidery features are incredible. The 9.5 inch by 14 inch embroidery area, you can really expand your horizon with embroidery, and there's 494 built-in designs. You also have that 10.1-inch color screen that gives you all kinds of editing capability, from color to sizing to also you can actually take designs and do automatic stippling around it. It has 30 built-in fonts and 5 jumbo monograms. Now with the fonts, you have all kinds of editing capability. You can even take and put in a name or a saying and then do an applique border and turn it into applique automatically. It also has the IQ Designer. Now, this is an app that you use your smart device like a phone or an iPad, and you can send an image, a graphic image, to the machine, and it will turn it into embroidery instantly. The embroidery is amazing, but what about the sewing and quilting? This machine has 11.25 inches of space and 5 inches of height, so you can fit even the largest quilts into this machine. It also has automatic fabric sensors that will sense the thickness of the fabric, so it will set the right pressure, and with the automatic tension it gives you perfect fabric control, from heavy denim to very sheer fabric to working with elastic or even a t-shirt collar. This machine truly controls the fabric with perfection. But also it has the digital dual feed, and what that does is that is a belt-driven walking foot system that's controlled by the motor of the machine, and you can control, even like here with this Minky, perfectly. So you have so many amazing features with this machine. But what about an amazing deal? But wait, that's not all. For a limited time, and while we have it in stock, we are offering a special bonus with your Altair purchase. So first, we're going to give this beautiful set of 63 spools of polyester embroidery thread. The beautiful shine and quality of this thread is quite amazing. Also, I'm including the Baby Lock Ultimate Stabilizer Bundle. This has the most popular rolls of stabilizer, from wash away to cut away, in different colors, and this will enhance your embroidery to give you a better quality. I'm also including the Baby Lock Altair Inspirational Guide. Now, the instructions on this machine is wonderful, but what's different about the Inspirational Guide, it is written by Baby Lock educators, assuming you know nothing about the machine. So it takes you through every aspect, giving you full color. It's over 300 pages of full color description, step-by-step description. And if you complete this Inspirational Guide, you truly know everything on this machine. We're including that. Plus, we're going to include a online membership to Baby Lock's Love of Knowledge. This has hundreds of videos that give you step-by-step details on how to use the machine and also do techniques. This is invaluable, and you get a membership to this as well. You also get our famous rose gold scissors. These scissors are wonderful, both the shears and the embroidery shears. But last and not least, we put together a very exclusive design bundle by Anita Good Design. It has 17 different collections, and it comes with over 400 design files, and it's truly amazing the variety you get with this. So all this, which equals over a $1,600 value, is free with your Altair purchase for a limited time. Now, we will run out of these supplies, so this is while supplies last. So click on the link to order, or you can call us at 1-800-865-9664. You can email me at moreso@aol.com. But don't wait, this deal will surely end. But if you have any questions, again, call us at 1-800-865-9664. Bye for now.